Hey guys, Monochrome here. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. Genuinely good to have you. Today, I have an interesting little knife for you. Now, this is a discontinued model. It's no longer available, but it does have a rather interesting feature. And this is a Schrade knife. Little bit of background on Schrade or Imperial Schrade. Classic American company. It was around for a very long time, making some pretty solid, and I mean solid, knives. Now this might look like a Buck Model 110? No. This is a Schrade knife. It is a version of the Buck Model 110, but this is not some cheap, crappy knockoff. Granted, this knife has seen better days, and this was back during the glory days of Schrade. They just made some excellent knives at excellent prices, and even their Buck Model 110 copy was built with quality. Unfortunately, like a lot of traditional American knife companies, Schrade, they were forced to file for bankruptcy back in 2004. And I don't mean the type of bankruptcy where a company might disappear for a while, not sell any products for a while, they restructure themselves, and then they come back. No, sorry. Sometimes when a company files for bankruptcy, they don't restructure. They don't come back. Schrade did not come back, although a lot of people think they did. Now, why is that? Well, back in 2004, when Schrade filed for bankruptcy, they sold off everything they could to pay their investors, their creditors, everything. And one particular company, Taylor Brands, that some people, they call them Taylor Cutlery, but officially, the name of the company is Taylor Brands. They bought the name and all of the intellectual property. However, they did not buy the factory. No. And they did not buy any of the tooling. They did not buy any of the equipment. None of that. The only thing Taylor Brands bought and paid for was the right to use the Schrade name to put it on a bunch of crappy, cheap, made-in-China products, and the intellectual property that was Schrade. Now, I've talked about this before. As far as I'm concerned, that is a form of legalized fraud. Think about it. You're not really buying the name or the intellectual property. You don't give a damn about the name or the intellectual property. What you're buying is the brand's reputation that they established before they went bankrupt, and you're buying the right to take that name and put it on a bunch of cheap generic knives and legally call it Schrade. Oh yes, this is a Schrade product. This is a Schrade product. It says so right there. Just as much as this is a Schrade product. And legally, it's all good. Personally, I consider that a disgusting form of legalized fraud. But, okay, let's take a look at this interesting knife. This is the Cliphanger, and it is a very small knife. Now, this is not the only Cliphanger variation out there. You do have one that's considerably bigger and comes with an integrated folding. No, not folding. It comes with an integrated FRN polymer clip. Yeah, the clip doesn't fold. That would be an interesting feature right there, but no. A folding knife, very similar in design to this little guy. Sometimes this plastic, for lack of a better term, thumb shelf is clear plastic. On this one, it's black. And yeah, very, very small knife. There will be a few specs in the description box below. Just keep in mind, this is a discontinued Schrade model. And I actually found this online very recently because I always wanted to try it out. But yeah, I had other knives I wanted to buy more. So let's take a look at the interesting feature. Now, right off the bat, these can usually be found online for about $30, $35. And oh my goodness, you are horribly overpaying if that's what you pay. And thankfully, the reason why it's usually found that much is because either this portion is missing or this nylon piece is missing or the attachment point is missing or there's something else that's messed up with the knife. But let's take a look at the knife itself, very small. Mystery steel, I have no clue what it is. And here's the first indicator that you're dealing with a rather cheaply made knife. Although this thumb shelf looks quite nice, you turn it over and on the other side there is no thumb shelf. This is just a piece of plastic melted into the hole in the blade on that side. And yeah, just a piece of plastic. That is not something you see on a high quality knife, but okay, this is a liner lock. Now it does have a half stop, so you have to be careful because if you try to flick this open, it will stop and your momentum will usually cause your thumb to come off and then you'll try to go right back on to the thumb shelf, but the problem is this knife will be partially open, and that's a good way to slice open your finger. Now, keep in mind momentum. This is not going to be a conscious gesture on your part to slice your thumb open. But okay, usually a half stop is a good safety feature, but not when you're trying to quickly thumb a folding knife open with a one-hand opening feature. So this is the sort of thing, take your thumb, place it on top of the shelf, and slowly open it. There's the half stop, and as you can see, that's a lot more than just a half stop, or a lot less. Normally, you would expect a half stop to be at the halfway point. On this, it's right there. And look at those serrations. So yeah, you're trying to aggressively open this, it stops there, your thumb goes down, you instinctively push back up, and you're going to push up onto those serrations. So this is a slow process, although not an uncomfortable one. Opens up very nicely. On this example, it's a partially serrated blade. I'm not sure if all of them were that way or there were some plain edge variations. There's the liner lock, and it says press. Here's the problem with it. Wow, that is thin. That is thin. Yeah, that is horribly thin. Can you guys even see the liner lock in profile? Now, thankfully, the handle scales themselves are extremely thick polymer plastic, although they feel like very cheap ABS plastic. And I'm genuinely not sure which is which. I'm giving this knife the benefit of the doubt. Maybe I shouldn't be. I mean, this might be FRN polymer plastic, or it might just be cheap ABS plastic. And make no mistake, this is a very, very cheap knife. But yeah, there's the sliver thin liner lock. But if you can see that, it engages about halfway, so it should be relatively solid on this relatively thin blade. Here's the problem, something I've never experienced on any liner lock knife. Can you see that? I don't think you can. There is a bit of up and down play when this thing is locked open. Not side to side. Oh no, side to side, this is rock solid. Incredibly. Side to side, rock solid. No jimping on the spine of the blade. You got some jimping on the handles here, and that's not very useful or aggressive at all. But yeah, there is actual up and down play, and it's a little significant. And I've never experienced up and down play on a liner lock knife. I mean, that liner lock should be holding the rear of the blade as tight as possible. There is play. So right off the bat, this thing is strictly for light-duty cutting chores only. Light duty. You do have some really good checkering. This looks shallow. It looks as though it's just for show, but no, you got it on both sides, and this checkering is actually quite good. It's shallow, it's rather fine, but it is decent. Okay, closing the knife, no problem. Centering, surprisingly good for a very cheap knife like this. Now, no clip on this small model, although I have seen polymer plastic integrated clips on the larger version. Yes, there is a significantly larger version. I think I mentioned that already. But the smaller one gets no pocket carry clip, although it's designed to be used with this very cheap molded plastic clip. Yeah. You take this, you clip it onto a belt loop, you let this hang on the side, or maybe tuck this into a watch pocket on your jeans. Or instead of a belt loop, you can take this and attach it to the outside of a pack, if there's a place to clip this onto, and you just let this dangle. So this is plastic. You do get a metal split ring, and then you have this very thin, very cheap single strip of nylon that's folded over on either end, and twisting this is so ridiculously easy. Look at that. Yeah. That's not very durable. Whoever owned this clip hanger before I bought it probably bought it, looked at it, said, nah, and tossed it into a drawer until they sold it to me. And over here, you do have this attachment point. Now, if you're thinking, oh, great, so I got to deal with this thick plastic clip. Oh, wow, that's taking some effort. So I'm constantly clipping and unclipping this from a belt loop or from a pack just so I can take the knife out. I don't want to deal with that. This thing looks like it can break or at least raise a blister on my thumb. I don't want to deal with that. Good news, you don't have to. See that right there? Yeah. Push on that and it releases. The clip stays on your belt loop or on your pack, and the knife comes off. Now, when it does come off and you thumb it open, there's not a lot of real estate. And again, that up and down play does not inspire confidence. This is mostly, that's pretty much a 2-finger grip on the bottom with the thumb on top. And I recommend not applying pressure to the spine of the blade because I can see it overriding the lock mechanism and having this come down on your finger. I can see that happening. Has it happened to me? No. But look at how ridiculously thin that liner lock is. I'm sorry. The thing with a liner lock is that it has to be made perfectly. Has to be. You can't have a thin liner lock that allows up and down play. No, that's just a bad idea. But okay. So this is an interesting concept, and you have 2 slots here and here. So you can clip this either here, or you can clip this, make sure to turn it around, or you can clip it here. Yes. And on this one, it's horribly loose and sloppy. So I recommend not doing that. I recommend clipping it over here. On the left side handle scale. That one, barely any slop to it. But here's the issue with the attachment point. Oh my goodness, that is thin. It looks thick on my camera, but that is thin. I can see this easily breaking. I know for a fact, without even asking the previous owner, I know for a fact that this spent a lot of years in a drawer not being used. How do I know that? Because nothing is missing. Usually on these clip hanger models, there's always something broken or missing, like this all plastic clip, or the bottom portion here, which again looks a lot thicker on my camera, well, a little bit thicker on camera than it really is, but this is thin, this is flimsy, this will break. I can see why this got discontinued long ago. Now, some of you might be thinking that this is a cheap, made in China piece of junk. Well, it is very cheaply made, and I can't exactly argue with you if you think it's junk. I think it's useful, but it's very close to junk status. Now, here's the shocking part. Again, Schrade filed for bankruptcy and went under in 2004. The name, the intellectual rights bought out by Taylor Brands that started putting the Schrade name on a lot of cheap, made-in-China generic knives. This, believe it or not, is a genuine Schrade. That's right. This existed before the company filed for bankruptcy in 2004. My research confirmed it. Originally, I thought that this was a Taylor Brands Schrade model made in China. No. This is an actual Schrade knife. The quality is just, it's terrible. I bought this to try it out, and yeah, shouldn't have spent my money on it. What you're looking at is a genuine Schrade knife. Can you see that? It says USA right there. USA. This is what Schrade was pumping out several years before they went under. I think that's the saddest part of all. The fact that this is not some cheap, generic Chinese ripoff. No, this is a genuine Schrade. Introduced, well, it's been around since at least the year 2000, more than likely a lot earlier than that. But this is what Schrade was making before they filed for bankruptcy and went under. That's just sad as hell. The very same company that made this classic also made this. Can't blame Taylor Brands. No. What you are looking at this entire time is a genuine Schrade USA knife. I can understand why the company filed for bankruptcy and went under. Guys, that's it for today. I do hope you enjoyed the video. Please stay safe. It's still dangerous out there. I'll see you soon. Take care.